You are sitting in traffic. The car next to you is a gleaming BMW. The driver looks immaculate, a picture of absolute success. But here is the cold, statistical reality. The person pulling up in that BMW might have exactly $47 sitting in their checking account. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it is the defining characteristic of our modern economy. Americans currently owe $1.28 trillion in credit card debt. The average household carries over $100,000 in total debt. And yet, somehow, the parking lots are completely full of luxury vehicles. The malls are packed with people carrying designer shopping bags. We are living in a meticulously curated hallucination. A recent study found that nearly half of Americans with credit cards carry a balance month to month. Yet luxury car sales keep climbing. Designer brand revenue keeps growing. The disconnect between what people actually possess and what they are willing to spend has never been wider. Something doesn't add up. You feel it, don't you? The quiet, suffocating pressure when you scroll through your feed or walk into an office. That coworker of yours just bought a designer bag. You know her salary. You know what rent costs in this city. That bag costs more than her entire emergency fund. Or consider the guy at the bar, the one endlessly bragging about his investment portfolio. The truth is, he has more credit card debt than actual investments. And the influencers showing off their supposedly limitless luxury lifestyle, they are 3 months behind on rent. We are surrounded by a massive number of people who have figured out exactly how to look wealthy while being utterly, hopelessly broke. They project an image that instantly crumbles the moment you look just a little bit closer. Social media overflows with people flaunting wealth they simply do not have. They have mastered the appearance of success while building absolutely nothing underneath. Welcome to the era of the fake rich. The central illusion of our time is that visibility equals prosperity. It doesn't. Real wealth whispers. Fake wealth screams. People are purchasing a costume for a level of success that has not arrived, and likely never will. Once you understand the mechanics of this deception, you will see it everywhere. You will realize that the vast majority of the status you envy is entirely financed by high-interest debt. Let's dissect the logic of this performance. It usually begins with the entry-level luxury trap. Someone buys the absolute cheapest version of the most expensive brand. The base model BMW, the logo belt from Gucci, the starter bag from Louis Vuitton. They desperately want the badge without possessing the budget. Walk through any premium grocery store parking lot, and you will spot this immediately. You will see a bare-bones Mercedes with manual seats and no navigation. You will see an Audi with the smallest engine option and 0 upgrades. These vehicles exist for a very specific psychological demographic. Manufacturers know exactly what is happening. People want the emblem on the hood far more than they want the actual driving experience. Here's the fascinating part. A fully loaded Honda Accord costs roughly the same as a base model luxury sedan. The Honda has better features, a more comfortable interior, vastly superior reliability, and lower maintenance costs. But the person chasing status does not want a Honda. They want other people to see the 3-pointed star or the 4 rings. But the purchase price is merely the entry fee to a very expensive club. That entry-level luxury car comes with luxury maintenance costs, premium gas instead of regular, higher insurance premiums, and far more expensive parts when something eventually breaks. The base model Mercedes costs significantly more to own than the fully loaded Toyota. Not just upfront, but every single month for years. The math gets brutal. Someone pretending to be rich might spend 20 to 30% of their income just on looking wealthy. Someone who is actually wealthy spends perhaps 2 to 5% on these exact same categories. And then there is the leasing cycle. This deserves intense scrutiny because it has become so dangerously normalized that people no longer recognize it as a massive red flag. When you lease a vehicle, you are fundamentally paying for the steepest depreciation years, the absolute most expensive period of a car's life, and then you are giving the car back. The dealer estimates what the vehicle will be worth at lease end, and you pay the difference between the purchase price and that residual value, plus interest, taxes, and fees. A $50,000 car that is worth $30,000 after 3 years means you are essentially financing $20,000 of pure depreciation plus interest. Then, like clockwork, you return it and start over with a new lease, paying those same fees and that same steep depreciation all over again on a fresh vehicle. This cycle never ends. Lease, return, lease, return. It is a system of perpetual payments with zero equity ever. Someone who leases continuously for 20 years has made hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments and owns absolutely nothing at the end. Leasing is one of the most mathematically expensive ways to operate a vehicle over a lifetime, but it lets people afford the monthly payment on vehicles they couldn't actually purchase. That is the entire appeal. The person driving the leased luxury sedan looks successful. The payment fits their monthly budget. What doesn't show is that they are building zero equity, paying premium insurance rates, and locking themselves into perpetual payments with nothing to show for it. If you genuinely wanted a luxury vehicle for reasons beyond status, buying used makes far more sense financially. But buying used doesn't provide the new car smell and the pristine badge that the fake rich identity desperately requires. Consider the micro scenario of the designer item that mathematically eclipses reality. This might be the most alarming symptom. Someone carrying a $5,000 bag with $2,000 in savings. A luxury watch strapped to the wrist of someone with a maxed-out credit card. This happens constantly. There is an old, unforgiving rule in finance. If you can't afford to buy it twice, you can't actually afford it. If a single purchase represents 2 or 3 months of your income, that is not wealth. That is living dangerously above your means while frantically creating the illusion of prosperity. Think deeply about what that bag actually represents. It is not accomplishment. It is not a marker of smart financial decisions. It is simply a willingness to sacrifice future security for present appearance. The bag might successfully impress strangers for 3 seconds, but the empty savings account will create suffocating stress for years. Some people literally finance designer purchases, paying high interest on a handbag, making monthly payments on a watch. The item physically depreciates while the debt relentlessly accumulates. By the time it is finally paid off, they have spent 30% more than the sticker price on an object that is now worth half what they originally paid. People with actual wealth rarely make purchases that jeopardize their financial foundation. Their luxury items represent a microscopic fraction of their net worth, not a significant, terrifying chunk of their monthly budget. But the physical items are only half the disease. The psychological performance is far worse. Watch for constant money talk. The person who simply will not stop steering conversations toward income, investments, spending, or deals they are supposedly working on. Every topic somehow inexplicably circles back to finances, and always in a way that makes them look highly successful. You could be discussing pizza toppings, and this person finds a desperate angle. They'll say, "Oh yeah, I used to eat that before I started making real money." You mention a vacation, and suddenly they are explaining their complex travel reward strategy that only works because of how massively much they spend. You share news about a friend's success, and they immediately pivot to their own achievements within 2 sentences. Then there is the one-upper. Whatever you have done, they have somehow done something better. Whatever you bought, they bought something far more expensive. Whatever you accomplished, their version was more impressive. You get a promotion, they got a bigger one. You went on a nice vacation. They spent 2 weeks in the south of France flying business class. You bought a new watch. They exhaustively explain why theirs has a superior mechanical movement and claim you can hear the difference in how the second's hand ticks. Picture this unbearable dynamic at a dinner party. Someone nervously shares that they just closed on their first home. Before anyone can even offer a congratulation, the one-upper jumps in. "That's great, but you really should have waited for a bigger place. When I bought my first property, I made sure it was at least 4 bedrooms because anything smaller doesn't appreciate as well." The excitement instantly drains from the room. The person who just achieved something deeply meaningful now feels small. This isn't normal conversation, it is competition. Every interaction becomes a contest where they are biologically compelled to win. The psychology here is painfully transparent. One-upping comes from profound insecurity, not confidence. People pretending to be rich feel actively threatened by any success that isn't theirs. Your good news diminishes them somehow, so they reflexively minimize your achievement while amplifying their own. And notice the tense they speak in. They talk about money they are about to make rather than money they have actually made. I've got a huge deal closing next month. Once this investment pays off, everything changes. I'm working on something that's going to be massive. Always future tense, because the present reality does not match the projected image. The money isn't real until it hits your bank account. Deals fall through, investments go sideways, opportunities evaporate. But the fake rich talk about projected income as if it has already been deposited because their current reality simply isn't impressive enough. Another devastating tell is confusing revenue with profit. Someone will brag endlessly about their business doing $500,000, conveniently omitting that their actual take-home pay was $50,000. It is still decent money, but it is entirely not the flex they are presenting. The exaggeration explicitly reveals the insecurity. This bleeds directly into their social media performance. The meticulously curated feed of luxury experiences, expensive purchases, and lifestyle content is deliberately designed to project wealth, regardless of whether that wealth actually exists. If someone's money is real, they do not need to document every single waking moment for strangers on the internet. But for the fake rich, wealth only becomes real when it is validated by likes and comments. The experience isn't complete until it is posted. The purchase isn't satisfying until others have seen it. Showing off gets infinitely more engagement than showing discipline. A spend $1,000 at the mall with me video vastly outperforms watch me add $1,000 to my emergency fund. One feels aspirational, the other feels boring. This creates a sickeningly perverse incentive. People quickly learn that projecting wealth generates immense attention, regardless of whether the bank account matches the broadcast. So, they perform prosperity while building absolutely nothing. Social media exclusively shows highlights, not reality. But the fake rich require you to believe that their highly edited highlights are their everyday existence. Some profiles boast millions of followers, but their comment sections are full of bot accounts endlessly repeating the same generic phrases. They are literally buying the appearance of influence to support the crumbling appearance of wealth. Layers of fabrication stacked precariously on top of each other. It reaches the point of absolute absurdity with counterfeit goods. If someone is carrying fake designer items, they are quite literally walking around advertising that they are pretending to be something they are not. A decent knockoff bag might cost $200 or $300. For that exact same money, you could easily buy a genuinely well-made bag from a brand that isn't pretending to be something else. Real leather, quality construction, original design, just without the famous recognizable logo. But that is entirely not what the fake rich want. They don't actually care about quality or craftsmanship. They care exclusively about the perception that comes attached to the logo. They will happily pay $200 for a poorly made fake rather than $200 for a well-made original simply because the fake carries a name that other people recognize. Some claim they just like the design. But if that were true, why intentionally choose a knockoff of a highly specific luxury brand? Why not buy something original from a company you can actually afford? The brand choice reveals the dark motivation. It is about the logo, not the design. You have literally paid good money to carry around physical evidence of your own pretense. And in the background, there is the relentless promotion of slightly faster than normal schemes that sound almost plausible. Forex trading, drop shipping, crypto day trading, option strategies, infinite banking. Some revolutionary system that is going to change everything if you just get in right now. A tiny fraction of people actually succeed at these activities. The vast majority quietly lose their money. But the fake rich love talking about these opportunities because once again, they operate purely in the future tense. They are not discussing what they have actually built. They are discussing what they are about to build. The massive potential justifies the depressing current lack of actual results. Someone discovers a new opportunity and goes all in. They talk about it constantly, try to aggressively recruit their friends, and project massive, unshakable confidence. 6 months later, they have quietly lost money, but they absolutely never mention that part. Instead, they have already moved on to the next opportunity. Equally confident, equally vocal. The pattern repeats every year or two, a long, quiet trail of failed ventures they never acknowledge. Admitting failure would completely shatter the fragile identity they have constructed. When someone simply cannot stop talking about their next big opportunity, it is a mathematical certainty that their current opportunity is not delivering what they claim. Time is the ultimate judge of this performance. Every month, more money inevitably flows toward maintaining a hollow image, while absolutely nothing flows toward building substance. The luxury car needs its expensive maintaining. The designer wardrobe demands updating. The lifestyle requires constant, exhausting sustaining. The person desperately pretending to be rich almost always ends up far poorer than they started. The sheer effort of appearing wealthy actively prevents the accumulation of actual wealth. You are running on a treadmill that speeds up the longer you stay on it. You are working harder and harder, sacrificing months and years of your life just to maintain a fragile illusion that delivers nothing real. That difference in spending, the 20 to 30% spent on looking wealthy versus the 2 to 5% spent by the genuinely wealthy, compounds over decades. It compounds into hundreds of thousands of dollars that never get invested. While you are busy financing depreciation and paying high interest on costumes, the truly wealthy are quietly letting compound growth do the work in accounts that nobody else ever sees. The years slip by. The fake rich buy the status symbol first and desperately hope the wealth follows. It rarely does. Truly wealthy people often buy their flashy items long after they have built substantial, unshakable wealth. You have to fundamentally change how you process the concept of prosperity. The fake rich optimize for how things look to others. Every single financial decision passes through a toxic filter of external perception. Will this impress people? Will this signal status? Will this make me appear successful? The actually wealthy optimize for how things work for themselves. Does this purchase make mathematical sense given my goals? Does this decision move me incrementally toward financial freedom? Does this choice align with what I actually value and not what I desperately want others to think I value? Real wealth is not about what you are able to show to strangers. It is entirely about what you have built. It is the absolute freedom to make choices without the crushing weight of financial pressure. It is the deep, quiet security of knowing you can handle emergencies. Real wealth allows someone to be genuinely happy for others. Fake wealth requires constant, exhausting comparison and conquest. Look at photos of actual billionaires on completely ordinary days. Mark Zuckerberg wears the exact same gray t-shirt constantly. Warren Buffett drives a modest car and lives in the exact same house he bought decades ago. Many of the wealthiest people on earth you would pass on the street without a second glance. They have absolutely nothing to prove. Their identity isn't tied to what strangers think of their appearance. The fake rich operate from the exact opposite psychology. They feel they have everything to prove. So every single item becomes a desperate statement. Every accessory becomes fabricated evidence. The louder the display, the more desperate the attempt. When every single item someone wears is meticulously designed to signal wealth, that signal just becomes noise. It reads as desperate rather than successful. One approach slowly builds wealth, the other rapidly bleeds it. One path is incredibly expensive, deeply exhausting, and leads absolutely nowhere. The other path builds quietly, in the background, until one day you wake up and realize you have the kind of options most people only pretend to have. The goal isn't to look rich, the goal is to actually be rich. Real wealth whispers. It doesn't need anyone to notice. It doesn't require a single like or a shred of external validation. It exists solidly, whether or not anyone else ever sees it. The next time you see someone projecting perfect prosperity, look a little closer at the cracks. The base model luxury car, the frantic constant money talk, the designer items that might cost more than their entire savings account. Fake rich is everywhere once you know what to look for. The illusion is perfectly maintained on the outside, while it slowly, silently bankrupts them on the inside.